Part 71. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich Jung Word. Chapter 701. Chapter 701 The 12th Dream, 5. When Lan Min heard this, his eyes suddenly lit up. Yes, if your mother really doesn't mean what she says, then your reputation will not be good if it spreads. You can't watch such a thing happen. And your mother herself is not good. If your mother is really good, if you are back now and have grown up, your mother still holds the power. The next moment, Mo Bao changed his face like a face change in a Sichuan opera. But what's the matter, what's the matter? But my mother is not in good health right now. Even if she really donates it to you, your body won't be able to survive much, and... But when Lan Zhen heard this, his expression suddenly changed. Chen Mo, what do you mean? Don't you want to save me? I am the most beloved woman when your father was alive. If something happens to me, then your father's spirit in heaven will definitely not rest in peace. How can you, a son, really see that your father's spirit in heaven cannot rest in peace? Li Baikan is really disgusting. This Lanzi is really breaking the lower limit. No, there may be no lower limit for Lan. Auntie, please listen to me. What I mean is that my mother is a bit old and her health is not good. Even if you are changing, you are not in good health. If this is the case, then why not change to a younger one? If you have a young person's body, then not only will you feel less uncomfortable, but your energy will be several times higher. These words successfully made Lan Min's eyes suddenly light up. Really? Chen Mo, are you serious? Can you really find it? After all, if something happens to you, my father's spirit in heaven will definitely not be easy. As a son, how could I let such a thing happen? Mo Bao smiled very sincerely. Then Mo Bao began to worry about Lan Min's body. Soon I found a 20-year-old young girl. When Lan Zhen saw the young girl, his eyes shone brightly. However, Lan Min's son said at this time, "Are you sure this woman and my mother can be a successful match?" Mo Bao snorted coldly when he heard this. What do you mean by this? Do you think I will harm you, human? I can understand why you are worried about your mother, but I also hope you can understand that I am worried about my mother. If my aunt gets better, my mother will not need to donate a kidney. If you really don't believe it, then go check it out. If there is any problem, then just leave. No one is forcing you to stay. When Lan Zhen saw the two of them like this, he pretended to be a peacemaker. Don't make such a fuss. You must know that you are brothers. How can you lose your temper? Anyway, I'll do what I can do. I've found someone for you. It's up to you to choose what to do. After saying this, Mo Bao turned around and left. The moment Mo Bao turned around, a sarcastic smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Then the voice of a young girl rang out, I won't donate anymore. I will return all the money you gave me. I will return all the money to you. Can you let it go? I really don't want the money anymore. What? No more. But a young body, young organs. Lan Min really might let it go if he wants to. With no regard for the young girl's wishes, she ordered the operation. It's a bit strange to say. For so many years, Lan Min's body was not suitable for surgery. But this time it went well. Lan Min lay on the operating table smoothly. When the anesthetic entered Lan Min's body, there was a smile on her lips. It's another day of explosive updates, la la la. End of this chapter. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich Jung Word. Chapter 702. Chapter 702 The 12th Dream, 6. But time passed by minute by minute. Lanji quickly realized something was wrong. Because she is still conscious. For such a major operation, she should not be conscious after being given anesthesia. What's going on? What's going on? Lan Min quickly realized something was wrong. Someone is coming, someone is coming. At this moment, Mo Bao's casual voice rang out, I'm such a good aunt, today is such an important day, why are you so excited? Don't you know that your excitement now will affect the results of your operation? And, does this mean you don't want to live? If you don't want to live, why don't you just say it? If you just say it, we won't bother with so many things. When Lan Zhen saw Mo Bao, a look of horror appeared on his face. Li Baikan felt indescribably happy when he saw Lan Min's frightened expression. She finally has today. Why are you here? What do you want to do? Don't mess around. I am the woman your father cares about most and the woman he loves most. If. This time Lan Min was interrupted before he could finish his words, my short-lived father is the woman who cares about the most. It has nothing to do with me. You are not the woman I care about the most. And it's okay if you don't say this. The more you say this, the more uncomfortable you feel. I think that everything in my life, Li Chenmo, is good, and it can even be said to be a perfect life, but God insists on giving me. I arranged for a short-lived father, forget it, he is blind and bad. When Mo Bao said this, he couldn't hide the disgust in his eyes. Li Baikan. What on earth are you going to do? Lan Min felt more and more afraid. What else can I do? Of course it is to perform a kidney transplant for you. Even if I am annoying you and disgusting you, you are my short-lived father's most beloved woman. If I don't help you, then I am really afraid. My short-lived father will come to see me and even drag me down. You must know that I have to honor my mother well and cannot let my short-lived father drag me down. While Mo Bao was saying this, someone wheeled in 2 hospital beds. A pig and a dog tied to 2 hospital beds respectively. It is said that pig organs are similar to our human organs. When I was a child, I saw similar scientific sharing in science magazines. But since I was a child, I have been curious about whether this is real or fake, but this time it is for me an opportunity for me to have a good look at it. Auntie, don't worry. In order to ensure that there is no problem with this kidney, I have specially arranged for experts to perform the surgery next to you to ensure that the things taken out are fresh, and they are taken out in front of you, Mo Bao was saying. When he said this, the smile on his face became brighter and brighter. As a nephew, I even thought about what to do if the pig is not suitable for you, so I specially arranged a dog. Don't worry, Aunt, I will definitely let you years of illness healed. Lan Min had never seen such a scene before, and he fainted immediately. However, Mo Bao immediately ordered someone to wake her up. Auntie, why did you faint? Shouldn't you be happy? If you succeed, then you will lead our human medicine to take a huge step forward, and we don't know how many people will be saved. Mo Bao's voice was clear and seemed particularly sincere. For those who don't know, they might really think that Mo Bao is really a junior who thinks about his elders. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich Jong Word. Chapter 703. Chapter 703 The 12th Dream, 7. When the things are taken out of the pig's belly. Lan Min's face was really pale. Help, help, help. Help, the most important thing in the operating room is sound insulation. Do you know how much work I have put into preparing for today? If you can really call someone now, then I think you are awesome. Mo Bao's face was full of sternness. In this way, Lan Min was driven crazy. The operation was naturally very successful. After all, Mo Bao is a kind child, and kind children will not do cruel things. The wife of the president of Huo Group is a madman, isn't it more fun? Media soon broke that the president of Huo Group was willing to force an innocent girl to donate a kidney in order to save his most beloved wife. This made Huo Linyuan, who was already in a precarious situation, even more miserable. Investments. Every day, Huo's group's shares began to fall, and the market value also began to decline. Shareholders forced Huo Linyuan to give an explanation. The vice president who helped Huo Linyuan before also sold off all his stocks at the lowest price at this time. Soon, Huo's stock broke through the chassis. Hong's employees left one after another. The entire Huo family was left empty. Li Baikan watched from the side, feeling really happy when he saw Huo Linyuan and Lan Min getting out of the plot. Finally, he followed Mo Bao to find Huo Linyuan. At this moment, Huo Linyuan was no longer in high spirits. He has white hair and a mess all over. He looked at Mo Bao in front of him and smiled, "I really didn't expect you to be so powerful." "Awesome," Mo Bao smiled contemptuously, "this is considered awesome. If I were really awesome, then I wouldn't let you get to this point now. I am better than Li Baikan in everything in this life, but who knows that the children I will give birth to will not be as good as Li Baikan." Huo Linyuan casually arranged his clothes. It is true that the waves behind the Yangtze River push the waves ahead, and each wave is stronger than the other. "That's right, you are destined to be photographed on the beach by me." Mo Bao had a frivolous expression on his face, and it's still a situation where life is worse than death. Huo Linyuan took out the dagger. "Why, do you want to end everything tragically in the end?" Mo Bao's disdainful voice rang out, "Isn't that woman Lan Min always claiming to be my elder? In this case, then you are also my elder. As a junior, of course I have to do something. For example, 7 or 8 days ago, I ordered my men to find 10 dogs to starve and wait for you to die." Huo Linyuan's originally calm face suddenly changed. "Why did you stop?" "Mr. Huo, I'm still waiting to deal with your funeral. Mr. Huo has already reached this point, so don't be so dilly-dallying. Although I am a junior, I don't have a lot of time. Spend it here." Mo Bao's words made Huo Linyuan afraid to die. Mo Bao looked at Huo Linyuan like this, and the smile on his face grew bigger and bigger. "Yes, my ultimate goal is to hope that you will live a life worse than death. As long as you dare to die, I will arrange this for you at this point at this time." Mo Bao paused for a moment. "As a junior, I still have to remind you that death is like a lamp going out, so after you die, no matter how I treat you, you will not know." Mo Bao has almost finished what he should say. Just turned around and left. "Li Chenmo, you are so cruel, you will be punished." Mo Bao stopped and said, "Huo Linyuan, what about you? Are you sure that the situation you are facing now is not retribution?" End of this chapter. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich Zhang Word. Chapter 704. Chapter 704 The 12th Dream, 8. Huo Linyuan did not dare to die. Later, Huo Linyuan lost everything. Fall from a high place and become an ordinary person. He began to do various things for a living, but even if Huo Linyuan is not only because of the halo of the male protagonist, even if Huo Linyuan is really capable, Huo Linyuan is already 50 or 60 years old now. There is absolutely no capital and no time to make a comeback. And he also has a crazy wife. As for the children of Huo Linyuan and Lan Min, they have no so-called abilities. They were all pressed to death by calligraphy. When all this is done, Mo Bao, who was obviously an adult, ran to Sunian like a child. "Mom, we succeeded, we succeeded. This world does not revolve around some male and female protagonists. This world belongs to us, and we change its destiny." Sunian also smiled, "Yes, we have changed our destiny." At this time, Mo Bao also noticed that Sunian's face was pale. "Mom, what's wrong with you? Why do you look so bad? Are you feeling unwell?" There may be something wrong with my health. It's just that I have been worrying about too many things recently. If you are really worried about me, then you can take over all the things in the company and let me have a good rest. You are not. You have always wanted me to find you a stepfather. Now that everything is out of my hands, I can find you a stepfather with peace of mind. It was only then that Mo Bao noticed that Sunian's face was getting worse and worse. I immediately called the family doctor. It was only then that I realized that Sunian was in poor health due to years of hard work. When Mo Bao learned the news, he felt like he was struck by lightning. He knelt down in front of Sunian. I'm sorry, it's all my fault. If I hadn't been too impulsive before and didn't want the consequences, then you might have. It's okay, I'm here at this age. Sunian reached out and touched Mo Bao's face. I'm really okay. Didn't you listen to the doctor? I just need to have a good rest, and I'll be okay. You once said that I am the most important person in this world to you. You haven't even seen me get married and have children. Can you really leave with peace of mind? Sunian smiled. Don't worry, don't worry. How can I be relieved? But Sunian's health is too bad. Li Baikan listened to the doctor. Sunian's body has been damaged since she was pregnant. The oil is now exhausted. There is no way. In the last moments, Mo Bao did nothing but stayed with Sunian. Li Baikan also watched Sunian lose his life bit by bit. Last moments. Sunian was nestled in the recliner, and Mo Bao was sitting next to him. I have regrets in my life. I didn't have a good relationship or a good lover. Mo Bao, who was peeling an apple for Sunian, stopped. So you want to find an uncle? So I've found so many uncles for you, why don't you want to? Sunian squinted her eyes, as if she was reminiscing about something. After a long time, she spoke, because I don't know how to love someone or how to have a relationship. Now that I think about it, it's really a bit of a loss. I should change it one day at a time anyway. If you are so rich, what should you be afraid of? If you give me a lifetime, I will never be so stupid. Li Baikan walked to Sunian's side and squatted down. Although he knew he couldn't touch Sunian, he still couldn't help but reach out. Mom, why didn't you think so earlier? End of this chapter. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich Jong Word. Chapter 705. Chapter 705. The 12th Dream, 9. Li Baikan looked at Sunian. She never knew anything, and suddenly she was in charge of a company and a family. The burden on her was really too heavy. She should not have shouldered these responsibilities in the first place. Li Baikan was awakened by the plot. For the first time, I felt that Sunian was important and that I liked her. It's because I'm afraid that Sunian will disappear in this world, and I will be alone. I have to face this terrible thing alone, in a world controlled by the plot. It's really ridiculous now. How ridiculous? Oh, your mother and I are not a fairy. I can't think of everything. Don't worry, I will definitely not be like this in my next life. I will definitely live a vigorous life and be happy every day. Okay, I'll listen to you. When he said this, Mo Bao paused. Remember to find a good father for me in the next life. Don't let me be without a father since I was a child like this life. Mom, you really don't. Do you understand that father's love is very important for children? When I was young, I didn't tell you because I was afraid that you would worry. When I was in kindergarten, many children made fun of me because I didn't have a father. Me, how many fights have I had with people over this? While Mo Bao was talking, Sunian seemed to be sleepy. She slowly closed her eyes, with a smile on her lips. Those people were really cowardly. They knew I was the young master of the Li family and they still came to trouble me. In the end, my parents brought them to apologize to me. How groveling they were. Mom, you know how old I was at that time. I feel very proud, haha, don't you know, if you knew, You would definitely hit me. When Mo Bao said this, the knife in his hand hurt his hand without realizing it. Blood dripped onto the ground little by little. Oops, why did I let it slip? Mom, you don't want to hit me, do you? I'm already so old. If you hit me, it would be a shame for me. You'd better stop hitting me. It's okay to scold me. But Mo Bao got no reply. At this moment, he couldn't hold back any longer. Started to cry. If there is an afterlife, I will still be your son. If there is an afterlife, I will not cause trouble, I will not make you tired, I will not. Li Baikan looked at Mo Bao kneeling on the ground. The scene in front of me became blurry. He stretched out his hand to grab something, but couldn't catch anything. The next moment, Li Baikan opened his eyes. It turns out that Sunian got sick from overwork in his previous life. It can even be said that he was the culprit of her tragic fate in her previous life. Sunian, yes, where is Sunian? Where is Sunian now? When Li Baikan's consciousness returned, he remembered this important thing, and immediately lifted the quilt and got out of bed. Sunian, Sunian. Li Baikan became increasingly panicked. The image of Sunian's hand hanging down in his dream appeared in his mind. Sunian, Sunian. Li Baikan felt that his sanity was slowly disappearing. At this moment, Sunian's casual voice sounded, "What's wrong? What happened? Are you having a nightmare again?" Li Baikan turned around when he heard the voice. When he turned around, he saw Sunian standing not far away, holding a piece of cake in his hand. Li Baikan immediately walked towards Sunian. At this moment, he really wanted to hold Sunian in his arms. But this time, before he could get in front of Sunian, she took a few steps back and said seriously, "Don't come close to me." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich Jong Word. Chapter 706. Chapter 706. The Nightmare Ends. Such a distant voice really made Li Baikan stunned. Did you hear what I just asked you? Did you have another nightmare? Did you take my words to heart? You always have nightmares like this, and you are so anxious after nightmares. You come to me in a panic, you really can't stand it? You can't stand it, and I can't stand it either. Don't you care about me so much? Are you really not afraid of affecting me? Sunian is really angry now. She cares about Li Baikan, but Li Baikan's attitude of not speaking at all is really uncomfortable. Sunian is so lively at this moment. Let Li Baikan laugh. He also knew that he was in a bad state. But, the dream, is really a bit too cruel. He, a coward, wants to use her to escape from the dream. No, no, I won't have nightmares anymore, because the nightmare is over. When Li Baikan said this, his voice was choked. Sunian laughed when he heard this. You think I am a 3-year-old child? What does it mean that the nightmare is over? Can you guarantee that you will never have nightmares in this life? Huh, adjust yourself well. If you don't adjust your condition properly, then don't appear in front of me. After saying this, Sunian turned around and left. It was only then that Li Baikan realized that Sunian was really angry, so he subconsciously walked forward. But he hasn't caught up with Sunian yet. Sunian stopped. To be precise, it should have stopped in front of the housekeeper Lao Shen. Uncle Shen, Baikan has been in a very bad state during this period. I don't want him to appear in front of me again. I feel that if he appears again, it will definitely affect me and the child in my belly. Old Shen immediately understood what Sunian meant and nodded slightly. Okay, young lady, I understand. Sunian was satisfied when he saw Lao Shen like this. Sunian then left in a swaggering manner. After Sunian left, old Shen said to Li Baikan, "Master, I can understand how you feel. I felt the same way when my wife was pregnant, but it would be bad if you influence the young lady, so I think you should stay calm, my god. After all, my period is getting heavier and heavier now. If something goes wrong, you might regret it for the rest of your life." Li Baikan could also see that Sunian was really angry. So I put my head on my forehead and smiled helplessly. I see. Li Baikan also felt that he should calm down. Or find someone to talk to. So Josu found the business cards of various senior psychological counselors. However, when making the choice, Li Baikan thought of another point, and then he came to the temple. We came to the temple where Sunian and I asked for a good day last time. In fact, when standing at the door of the temple, Li Baikan really wanted to laugh. There are many reasons to laugh. But Li Baikan finally chose to enter the temple. Come to the abbot. Just like in the TV series, the abbot bowed briefly to Li Baikan. Ba, Donor Li, do you have anything to do with the poor monk? I've been dreaming a lot lately, and the pictures in the dreams are very real, just like dreaming about the past life. Why do I dream about the past life? In fact, Li Baikan knew very well. This may be because God couldn't bear the pain of Sunian in his previous life. So I was given another chance. End of this chapter. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Which John Word. Chapter 707. Chapter 707. Don't want to. The abbot showed obvious surprise after Li Baikan said this. After all, Li Baikan's age is here. Although there are also wealthy people who come to the temple, most of them are older. It is rare that someone as young as Li Baikan comes to the temple to ask these questions. However, a person who can become an abbot must have experienced a lot, so he quickly reacted, Donor, why do you dream about your past life? There may be some chance in it. Li Baikan listened to the abbot. Among the 6 realms, cause and effect cycle. If there is a cause, then there will be an effect. When you are enjoying the effect now, don't always look for the cause and think about what the cause is. Maybe you are entangled in the cause now, which may affect otherwise, the gain will outweigh the loss. The cause you want to know may one day know the answer. Maybe by then, you will find that the cause is not important. If you are so obsessed at the moment, you may waste the effect at the moment. Mainhung Palace. Li Baikan clasped his hands together and knelt in front of the Buddha. Causal loop. Everything has its destiny. Li Baikan was suddenly not by Sunian's side. She is really not used to it. I'm not used to him being the first person I see when I open my eyes every day. I'm not used to him being the first person I close my eyes every day. I'm not used to him not being by my side anytime and anywhere. Sunian is really a little strange about this. Li Baikan was obviously not here in his last life. He was the kind of person who died early. He was alone for the rest of his life. Why would this happen? Why are you in a bad mood? Why are you not used to it? Ming Ming, last life. Sunian is really depressed. Only on the morning of the 3rd day. Sunian comes from a warm embrace. When Sunian realized this, he felt happy. When she fully reacted, she stopped smiling. You have to know that she has not forgiven this guy. How can she let this guy hug her? She must not let this guy hug her. I haven't hugged you for a few days. Be good, let me give you a good hug. Don't be angry. It's all my fault. Don't be angry. If you are so angry, you will only make yourself angry. If you are really angry, if you damage your body, it will be bad. It's okay that Li Baikan didn't say this. After saying this, Sunian became even more unhappy. You do this every time. You tell me not to be angry every time. If you are angry, you will make yourself angry. How is your health? But why do you always make me angry? Li Baikan, You are so smart, don't you even know this? I was wrong, and I will never do it again, Li Baikan said in a pleading voice. Sunian didn't say anything, but her eyes said, am I likely to believe you now? When Li Baikan saw the angry Sunian, he approached with a smile, well, if I am like this, then you tell the old man. You know that the old man always wants to take care of you. If you tell the old man, after that, according to the old man's temperament, he will never let you stay with me. In this case, then I will never see you. Looking at Li Baikan's serious expression, Sunian was still angry. After Sunian softened his attitude, Li Baikan held Sunian in his arms and said, you haven't seen me in the past 2 days. Do you miss me? In no mood. Humph, who would miss him? I'm just not used to it. Of course, I can't let this guy know that I'm not used to it. If I let him know, what would he do if he really thinks I miss him? This is not a slap in the face of this man Gold, I will never let this happen. End of this chapter. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich Jong Word. Chapter 708. Chapter 708 He moved. But I miss you very much. I miss you very much. I think about you and worry about you all the time. You are getting older now. I am always worried about what if I am not by your side and it is inconvenient for you. At the same time, I do regret it. I regret why I made you unhappy. Li Baikan fell silent for a moment when he said this. Actually, I really don't know why. I don't know why this is happening. In the eyes of outsiders, I am obviously very powerful. They all say that I am the king of shopping malls and Ashura in the world. I always control everything in my own hands. I don't know why, but I feel like a child now. Sunian really didn't expect that Li Baikan would say such a thing. She is not stupid, and she also knows that Li Baikan said this to make herself happy. Ha ha ha, this is the first time I heard such an adjective from a domineering president himself. This picture is indeed a bit too beautiful, unimaginable beauty. Li Baikan is like this, how could Sunian be angry? The kind that can't get angry at all. Just like that, Sunian laughed. After hearing Sunian laugh, Li Baikan kissed her on the cheek. Okay, I was really wrong. I swear, I will never do this again. If I do this again, then you can do whatever you want with me. At this moment, Sunian's body stopped moving. Her face also changed. Li Baikan immediately noticed something was wrong with Sunian. What's wrong, Nian? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with your face? Are you feeling uncomfortable somewhere? If you feel uncomfortable, just tell me directly. Just when Li Baikan felt nervous, Sunian finally spoke. He moved. 3 simple words confused Li Baikan. What does it mean that he moved? At this moment, Sunian's happiness couldn't be described in words. It has taken so long to be reborn. She finally waited for this moment. Wait until Mo Bao is really in her belly. Sunian came back to his senses and smiled when he saw the petrified man. He then took Li Baikan's hand and put his hand on his stomach. It really moved. I'm not lying. He really moved, but you have to wait. Sunian was interrupted before she could finish her words. The reason for this is because the Mo Bao in his belly moved again. Although the movement is very small. But Li Baikan really felt the baby in Sunian's belly move. Their child was a fusion of flesh and blood. Li Baikan knew that many things had changed in his life, but he really hoped that the child in his belly would be a boy, Mo Bao, the child he had owed all his life. He will definitely be a healthy child when he comes out. He will definitely be the most beautiful and well-behaved child in the world. Yes, he will be. Li Baikan carefully held Sunian in his arms. However, you are the one who has had the hardest time. Thank you for the hard work. Sunian, who was held in Li Baikan's arms, closed her eyes. The first time I felt fetal movement in my previous life, I was alone. I was so happy that I almost went crazy. But this life is different, there is someone to share with. It feels really good. Lee Baiken's gentle big hand gently stroked Sunian's belly. Be obedient in your mother's belly. As long as you are obedient in your mother's belly, after you come out, no matter how troublesome you are, it will be fine. Why do you feel like he will be spoiled when he comes out? Lee Baiken smiled tenderly. We have to wait until he comes out. How dare you feel that this guy is coaxing the child? The key is to start coaxing the child in the mother's womb. Why does this father feel more and more unreliable, super unreliable? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich Jong Word. Chapter 709. Chapter 709 No but. Time flies. The last 3 months have quickly arrived. In the last 3 months, everyone's hearts were hanging. After all, if something goes wrong in these 3 months, the consequences are really unimaginable. But Sunian herself didn't have much worry. After all, she had experienced it in her previous life. Having experienced what has happened, there is nothing to be afraid of. Live your life leisurely every day. At the same time, Sunian felt that there was another reason why he was so calm. Just seeing Lee Baiken anxious, she stopped being anxious. For example now. Sunian gnawed on an apple and watched Lee Baiken choose the brand after the birth of the child. That's right, it's the brand. Unlike ordinary people, families like them don't go to shopping malls to choose. Instead, they have the world's most high-end maternal and infant brands hand over information. It is true that a child's allergens cannot be determined before the child is born. But it is usually recorded well. Which company's milk powder is suitable for children with certain allergens? Which company's clothes are suitable for children with certain allergens? Also decorate the baby's room. All kinds of things. Sunian was listening and heard something was wrong. These colors seem to be Mo Bao's favorite. How does Lee Baiken know? Tisk, 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 they are really father and son. There is a certain connection between these things. Lee Baiken's body stiffened slightly. What is the connection between the two minds? It was just something he dreamed about in his dream. This also proves more and more that this dream is true. Lee Baiken didn't say anything, but continued to talk to others. The due date is approaching. Sunian was admitted to the top ward of a private hospital half a month early. After all, she could give birth at any time within this half month. If it's too late, then something might happen. If that's the case, why not just go to the hospital? That way, it's safer. About vaginal delivery and cesarean section. Lee Baiken felt very distressed. After all, in Lee Baiken's opinion, Sunian would definitely suffer no matter what the production method was. In the end, Sunian chose to give birth naturally. Sunian felt that since Mo Bao was born naturally in his previous life, it can be considered as having experience, and I will definitely be able to give birth to Mo Bao healthily in this life. Definitely possible. The closer the day gets, the more anxious Lee Baiken becomes. I am studying security issues with Lao Shen every day. After all, where is the halo of the heroine Lanji? If Lanji, a heroine, takes action at this time, what will happen? Although Lee Baiken knew very well that these security measures might be useless. But he still wanted to do something. But this time Lee Baiken was smarter and didn't let Sunian see his anxious side. He still looked gentle in front of Sunian. How about you don't go in to accompany me when I'm giving birth, and you can just wait for me outside. When Sunian said this, Lee Baiken walked in and planned to read to her. After hearing this, his body paused. Before Lee Baiken said anything, Sunian's voice sounded again, "I didn't look very good when I gave birth. I was afraid that you would be frightened when you saw my ugly appearance." Although Lee Baiken restrained his emotions and did not let his emotions appear in front of Sunian. But how could Sunian not be aware of the person next to him because he was so smart? Lee Baiken smiled, "You are ugly if you are ugly. You are my wife and my baby. I like you no matter what you look like. And if I don't love you because you are ugly, then wouldn't I become a scumbag? I don't want to be a scumbag. But there is no but." End of this chapter. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich Jong Word. Chapter 710. Chapter 710 Production Launch. The day of due date has arrived. At 8 o'clock, Sunian's stomach started to hurt. Hurry and arrange for a midwife. Lee Baiken felt as if a needle had been stabbed into his heart when he saw the blood draining away from Sunian's face. He held her hand tightly. "If it hurts, bite me or scratch me, as long as you are happy." Lee Baiken carefully supported Sunian. "The cervix is not completely opened, so they can only walk like this. Stay with it step by step." Even Sunian, who had already suffered the pain of childbirth once in her previous life. "It's a bit unbearable now. Come on, it will be fine after giving birth. As long as it is born, then it is fine. Think about tomorrow. I will be able to see my calligraphy tomorrow. Yes, I will be able to see my calligraphy tomorrow." Sunian bit her lip. "Try to focus on tomorrow. Thinking about Mo Bao's cute appearance." Hearing this, Lee Baiken felt really distressed. It's okay, I will be with you, I will be with you, and my husband will be with you," he comforted her gently. Such comfort, not to mention Sunian, even Lee Baiken himself felt like he was talking sarcastically. Sunian's body can really be said to be relying on Lee Baiken's body with all its weight at this moment. In this way, they walked step by step. Sunian faced the wave-like pain. One after another. At this critical moment, Lan Min's voice sounded. That's right, it's Lan Min's voice. "Baiken, if I firmly choose you now, will you love me? Will you always be good to me?" When Lee Baiken heard this, his expression suddenly changed. He looked up and saw Lan Min standing not far away. "That's right, it's Lan Min. Why is Lan Zhen here? Don't come over here, don't come over here," Lee Baiken shouted sternly. At this moment, Lee Baiken's eyes were red, like a wild beast on the verge of losing control. "I've thought about it, Baiken, I've thought about it, the person I love is you. Why is this happening? You must know that for the sake of safety, he let the old man sit in the hospital. This should not happen. The only explanation is they want to use this opportunity to let Sunian die." "Baiken, what's wrong with you?" At this moment, Sunian's voice sounded. When he heard Sunian's voice, the picture in front of Lee Baiken suddenly became clear. There was no trace of Lan Min in sight. It was only then that Lee Baiken realized that he was hallucinating. "Damn it, why are you hallucinating at this time?" Nothing, I'm fine. I feel like I'm getting closer now, my lower abdomen is falling so hard, that feeling is coming." Lee Baiken didn't dare to think too much when he heard this. He hurriedly sent the person to the delivery room. There are many doctors around. Sunian was lying on the delivery bed. "The sinking feeling in my stomach is really getting faster and faster. Based on the experience of her previous life, she is about to give birth. Breathe in, breathe out, Mrs. Lee, you have to keep your heart rate," the midwife next to her reminded her. Large drops of sweat kept falling down. She gritted her teeth and squeezed Lee Baiken's hand tightly. Like a person falling into the sea, holding on to the only driftwood. Lee Baiken wanted to say words of comfort now, but he was afraid that if he spoke now, he would disturb Sunian's attention. Mo Bao, you love your mother so much, please come out quickly. Hurry up. End of this chapter.